Hi, good evening, everyone. I was going to wait a little bit on doing this review. I saw this in the store maybe a day or two ago, whenever it was. I went to a different store to try and find other bottles under $30 because I was running out at my, favorite local liquor store. So I went to a different one up the road and got that kind of bad, you know what I mean? Whatever that stuff was I reviewed last time, that stuff was kind of, man, middle of the road, not that good. But it was cheap as fuck. Uh, but I saw this at the same time. The famous grouse smoky black, smooth, peaty, and aromatic. Now, as you can see, I've had a few sips out of it, um, and I can tell you from already having had a sip on it. Don't buy this and expect you're gonna get like Lagavulin, Ardbeg, Lafroig, uh, any of those other Port Charlotte. You're not gonna get that kind of peat out of this. You know what I mean? It's peaty, but it's not a single malt heavily peated Scotch. You know what I mean? It's a nice blend. And it's sitting on top of a 40th anniversary Stratocaster. Funny story about this one. This is my buddy's guitar, the kid I write songs with and I jam with all the time. And one of the guys I jam with all the time, but the guy I write songs with a lot. He had this, he was running short on money. He had this in, uh, what do you call it when you take it? He had it at a pawn shop. He had it on pawn. I think they gave him $400 for the guitar, which is a freaking shame. You're not gonna get a 40th anniversary American-made Strat for fucking $400. Forget about it. And it was sitting there. He was having to pay. I think it was $15 a week, uh, just to keep the guitar without them selling it on him. So I said, I'm like, I said, go get the fucking thing out of pawn. I gave him the 400. I gave him the $400 to get it out of pawn, and I'll give you the money to get it out of the pawn shop, and I'll hold on to it, and you won't have to pay the $15 anymore per week. This was over 2 years ago. So, I mean, I love the kid like a fat kid loves cake. Don't get me wrong. He's my brother. I've known him for 37, 38 years, however long. We've been great friends. We've been jamming together that long, writing songs together since probably day one we started jamming. We've known each other since we were teenagers, literally. So, but every time I see him now, I'm like, when are you going to get this fucking guitar back from me? You know what I'm saying? It's $400. I said, I've probably saved you take $15 per week and times it by 2 years. Do the arithmetic on that because it's got to be thousands of dollars, well over $1,000. I'm like, buy this fucking guitar back off me. Uh, I keep joking with him and tell him I fucking sold it. You know what I mean? He's like, he gives me that look every time I tell him. He's like, you better not have fucking sold it. Well, I didn't sell it. It's sitting here, obviously. It's a beautiful guitar. His his wife died of cancer. The reason why I did all this is because his wife died of cancer, and he always wanted a nice Stratocaster. And his deceased wife, she was still alive at the time, obviously bought this for him. And I think that the 40th anniversary of of the Fender Stratocaster had to be in the 90s sometime. So it's an old guitar, you know what I mean? It's probably a 20-year old guitar at least, you know what I mean? So I wasn't going to let it sit in a pawn shop. I wasn't going to let him lose it. If you ever seen my Gibson Ripper bass, I bought that off of him. And my Fender Basement amp, 4x10 Fender Basement amp. Beautiful fucking amp. Bought that off him years ago. So I own those, but I told him, I was like, I'll get it out of pawn. I'll hold it for you. Give me the $400 back. I won't even charge you any interest, and you won't have to pay the $15 on it. So 2 years later, I still got it. Hopefully he gets it soon. Doesn't matter. These are the kinds of things you do for friends. But we're going to give Famous Grouse a run. Give it a sniff. Oh, yeah. It's got a nice sweet nose. You don't get a lot of smoke on the nose with this, I've noticed. Maybe a hint of it. You get a hint of smoke, but yeah, nice sweetness, maybe even some kind of fruitiness to it, like those typical dried fruits, plums, prunes, raisins. No, not a ton of it, but noticeable. Not bad. Not a bad nose. Not ethanol-y. Got good legs. I haven't even taken a sip yet. Some of this stuff is dripping down the glass. All right, down the hatch. Here we go. Famous grouse. Uh, Smoky black. Okay. Yeah. Like I mentioned at the beginning, don't be expecting, like Isla smoke on this. In fact, they say if I can find it, they tell you on this, on the back, Smoky Black is the only blend in the world to use a rare peated version of Glen Turret from Scotland's oldest working distillery. Now, I've never heard of Glen Turret. I've never heard of that distillery. But it's got a little smoke to it. It says our Blender's Edition showcases the art of whiskey blending. Blah, blah, blah. They call this the Blender's Edition for whatever reason. So, we'll give it one more whack. Yeah, it's sweet and smooth, and I would describe it as having a hint of smoke. I'm the type of person who really likes, you give me a Lagavulin 16 or an Ardbeg or a Lafroig or a Port Charlotte or any one of these, nice peated island whiskeys. I love it. Some people don't like it. You know what I mean? It's, they claim it's like drinking a fucking fire pit. You know what I mean? But I like them. But I will say, if you don't like peated whiskeys, peated Scotch whiskeys, you're probably not going to like this, even though it's very subtle. It's still got a little hint of that smoke. I would equate it to like slightly smokier than Johnny Walker Black. You know what I mean? If you ever had a Johnny Walker Black, I know they use some kind of peated whiskey in that blend because you can taste it. It's got that hint of smoke. It's not heavy. And this is kind of similar. I would say this is somewhat similar to like a Johnny Walker Black. It's a good smoke. Now, Johnny Walker Black is a 12-year. I'm sure Famous Grouse, Smoky Black is not a 12-year whiskey. There's no age statement on it, so it's probably a 3 or 4-year whiskey at best for the majority of the blend. But it does have a nice little hint of smoke to it. It's smooth enough. It's sweet. Yeah, it's sweet. It's smooth, very drinkable. A hint of smoke at the back end. I like it. I forget what I gave Famous Grouse. You guys, if you guys are interested, this is the Mad Mix cheap whiskey review number 17. So I have 16 previous cheap whiskey reviews. We try to keep it under $30, although I broke that rule for Buffalo Trace because I got it for $31. So, if you want to look back on some of my previous videos, you can see what other kind of cheap whiskeys, the score I gave them. I can't remember what I gave Famous Grouse. It wasn't bad. It was probably about a 7. It was a good whiskey. I'm going to give this a 7.2. Because like I said, this kind of reminds me of a Johnny Walker Black, which I'm not going to get into this. It will not make this series because I think Johnny Walker Black was like $35 at my local liquor store, so it's not even coming close to the $30 limit. Dewar's 12-year did, and that was pretty good whiskey too. And I was, like 25, 26, but So if you're looking for something similar to Johnny Walker Black, and this was $23.99, so $24, you're probably saving $10 off of Johnny Walker Black. I won't say it's as good. I enjoy Johnny Walker Black. My social club, it's like the only Scotch they carry, and it's a good one to carry. It's a good Scotch. I like Johnny Walker Black. I wouldn't say this is as good as Johnny Walker Black, but it's not a bad substitute for $10 cheaper. So if you like a hint of smokiness in your Scotch and you like a nice, smooth, sweet whiskey, you could do far worse. What did I say? I gave this about a 7.2 to a 7.3. I might even bump it up to a 7.3 because it's a good whiskey. It's not bad. Smooth, sweet, tad of smoke. Not bad at all. You could do far worse than this. 7.3 for the Famous Grouse Smoky Black. Hey, love your friends, even if they make you hold on to their stupid guitar for 2 years and save them $1,000. Because that's what you do for your friends. You love them even when they're wrong sometimes, as long as they're not really wrong. Love yourself. And love cheap whiskey. All right? You guys have a good night. Take care.